Well, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, and glad to be with you at the Aiken Charity Horse Show as we're about to start another of our feature events. If you joined us yesterday, you watched the $5,000 welcome stake at the jumper ring, and getting underway today with a whole different idea of competition. Our world, of course, is made up of hunters and jumpers, as well as the equitation, but hunter and jumper is the main differentiation. Hunters based on style, jumpers based on speed and faults, and we're watching the first of 27 showing in a Hunter Classic now, and this will be Ferrari and Liza Boyd. She's riding an entry owned by Mary Caroline Nolan, and we're happy to have with us Mary Wooten. She's on hand, a native to South Carolina out of Lugoff, and of course, very well-respected professional rider. And she's going to give us at least a little bit of insight as we make our way through these first several runs here. And we'll watch first Ferrari. This is an 11-year-old bay, Dutch warm-blood gelding by Thunder van de Zothove, and of course among the most accomplished hunter riders in the sport here in Liza Boyd. And I know, of course, you've watched Liza grow up, Mary, haven't you?
Yes, I have. I remember her as a tiny girl, and she is one of the premier hunter riders and from my hometown.
There you go. Grew up right around you, and she got to watch you as you were coming up, and of course learned a lot from you, learned a lot from her father as well, and many other high-quality equestrians. She's been several times a winner of the pinnacle of the hunter sport in the International Hunter Derby Championship, so she's definitely achieved at the highest levels. Comes from a long line of horsemen, so fellow professional Jack Towell and Mary Wooten sharing space on the professional front as horsemen here in South Carolina. What do you think about the courses so far here, Mary? You've been competing with us throughout the week. Dean Reinheimer designing our courses. It's opened way up here for this Hunter Classic on a very big ring.
Yes, it has. It's a beautiful flowing course, and the horses and all the other things have been.
And, you know, one of the things that we try to stress here in the Hunter Classics and, of course, in the Hunter Derbies that came into play back in 2007 is trying to return to sort of more of the actual fox hunting style. Doing a show in a big ring like this will offer you the opportunity to sort of more closely represent what you would see if you were actually out on the fox hunt, where you'd have to overcome obstacles that will be in your way. Sometimes you've got a single fence line, sometimes you've got double fence lines, and we've got those represented in some of the jumps that are out here today. And so a big open flowing course allows you to see that. Well, we've got our first scores in for the top of the order. I'll get those back to you in just a moment. It sounded like they were in the 83 range. We're going to be averaging first round scores between our two judges, Scott Fitton and Scott Williamson. The average score will determine who are the top 12 performers and who gets a chance to come back and show in the second round. But right now, as Liza's scores came in, we're going to see Jenny Jones, also a rider from South Carolina. And as we get into these first few, I have to say that, yes, we've got a lot of South Carolinians in the top of the group here, but there are several top-level riders from elsewhere in the country, and we're going to see them coming up as well. Of course, we have Holly Shepard about 4 rounds away from now. She is from down in Alabama. Tim Madrick's also an Alabama-based rider. Tori Colvin based down in South Florida. And many others we're going to tell you about as we make our way through. So don't think that it's just a South Carolina base of competitors. We've got quite a few from outside of this region. Jenny Jones, of course, grew up here. She has since gone on to other regions. But riding David Raposa Sales LLC's highlighter now, it's Jenny Jones, another rider you got to watch come up.
I watched her grow up from very small, and she has always been a very capable, beautiful rider.
Maybe we'll take a look at some of the specifics of the course here when we make our way around. Did you have a chance at all to walk the course or examine it before we started here?
I did not, but it is flowing beautifully, and it also has beautiful brush on all of the jumps, which makes the horses jump so much better.
It gives them something to sort of focus on, gives them a nice ground line, allows them to pay attention as to where they want to actually take off and create a nice round jump, which is what the judges are looking for. It also represents, of course, fallen brush or tree lines that you might actually truly encounter if you were out on the fox hunt. Coming up on the birch combination here.
Jenny's horse looks like it's getting more and more comfortable, a little sticky at the first jump and then has smoothed out as he's gone.
All right, Jenny's finished up there. You can tell by the applause that she's wrapped up her round. Again, 83s from our first entry, Liza Boyd and Ferrari. We've got scores coming in now for Highlighter and Jenny Jones as well. Remember, we've got two scores coming in, but they will be averaged in terms of the top 12. 76 and a 78, averaging out to a 77 for Highlighter. All right, the one thing about this classic style of competition, or this specific classic, I should say, is that we've got several different heights. And I believe we're adjusting up to the 3-9 group now. Started off at 3'9", adjusting down now to the 3'6" section, actually. And so this would be some of what we, of course, came to know for years and years is like first year and second year greens. They've changed up a lot of the naming in the last couple of years to try to make it more clear cut to some people maybe from outside of the sport. But this is what we would have as maybe that first year green height from years past. All right, so again, the streak is going to continue here with South Carolina native riders. Liza Boyd first. She had an average of 82. Then Jenny Jones had an average of 77. She was aboard Highlighter. Now, after we've made that 3'6" adjustment, we're going to go to Hunter K, also a South Carolina-based rider. And I'm so glad that just last second, spur of the moment, I found Mary Wooten to come on down here and commentate with me because she, again, has known this rider. In fact, the first three here since they were very young. And Hunter K also is well steeped in horsemanship from the time he was young and generations prior to him as well.
That is true, and he has taken to this like a duck to water. Had a beautiful first fence. Little tight there. Horse jumped up a little high.
Much like the sport on which this was based or was derived, of course, you're looking for style that would indicate safety on part of the horse and the rider. Also comfort, keeping in mind that a lot of times if you were out on the fox hunt, you would need to be able to ride for miles and miles, and many times at speed. So you want a horse that's going to be a comfortable mount, but also one that is going to accurately see and approach the jumps and be able to overtake them with safety in mind. And so the style we're looking for basically is an indicator of all of those: the comfort, the safety, the efficiency as well, being able to cover those large areas of ground if you're actually out on a hunt. But as with many sports, they're derived from real-world activities in the horse world. It's a much more stylized version of what you would need if you were actually on the hunt. And there we go with Hunter K once again riding Rebel de Vizzy, the 16-year-old bay gelding by Cheval de Sel. One was owned by Olivia Field.
And so the style we're looking for basically
Daniel Geithner, of course, originally from Hickory, North Carolina. He's also been riding since he was a young man, and he's here with West Meadow Farm LLC's Tropics, entry number 513. Daniel's part of the board here at the Aiken Horse Park, or Bruce's Field. He's instrumental in making some of the big decisions that go into how this place is run, how it's been constructed over the years. A horseman himself, and very talented, very successful in his own training and sales business, which is now based here in Aiken. So it's nice to have that insight. Mary, I know that you've traveled to a lot of shows all over the place. To know that your facility was truly designed by a horseman, it's not something you can always count on, huh?
Not at all, and this is a beautiful facility. This is probably one of the best facilities I've been to, and I've been around to a lot of them. But this facility is very conducive to horses going well.
I mean, there's a lot of room to ride. It's got a lot of history in horsemanship. Obviously, this was originally the Aiken steeplechase track, part of the Triple Crown here in the Carolinas. But the steeplechase just recently departed from this facility and is in another part of town now. But we had horse shows here even before the rings were developed, and just when it was an infield. But there's been a lot of progress made to make it a truly world-class facility, and Daniel's been a big part of that. Looking good so far here with Tropics for West Meadow Farm.
Daniel with a beautiful trip. Nice, flowing course, beautiful trip.
The audience seemed to love it there for sure, and it's nice that we can have some spectators back out to the show. USCF just recently sort of loosening up the restrictions on having spectators at the show, so that's nice to see. All right, the score in there for Daniel Geithner averages out to an 85 with the Tropics. And we're going to have a few different professionals and get a few different perspectives on the sport here. Mary Wooten starting things off with us for the first 5 runs, but I think she's going to depart now so she can enjoy what she expected to enjoy just watching the class. And Amanda Steege is going to join us as well. Obviously, another highly acclaimed professional. So, Mary, thanks for being with us here today. We appreciate it.
Thank you so much, Brian. I'm handing you over to great hands.
All right. So Amanda's going to be with us here. She's actually got one later on in the class, so we're going to see her later with Southern Ground, but it's nice of her to decide to commit a little time to us so we can hear from her. I know she had a chance to walk the course, so what do you think about what you've seen so far here, Amanda?
Oh, thank you so much for having me, Brian. We are so excited to be here in Aiken and to have a feature class like this in such a beautiful ring with so many people coming to watch. I think the course is nice. It's a lot of single jumps. It really allows the riders to find one nice smooth gallop and show off their horse's strengths. There's really only 2 related distances out there, the 2-stride and a nice 10-stride line across. Both are across the diagonal.
A little different from what we have. I mean, people have become more accustomed to seeing as the feature event at these shows derby competitions. It's sort of nice that we have classics that aren't, as sort of complicated. You have to put a little thought into a derby and how it's scored when you're watching. There's high option bonus points. You've got bonus points for handiness in the second round. So a little bit more to follow. It adds an extra dynamic of intrigue as well, but it's also nice to go back to the traditional classic style hunter competition as we're watching now with Holly Shepard and Margaret Camp's entry. Midas on course. Midas is that dark bay Holsteiner gelding by Casal.
It's really nice to have a Hunter Classic, and it's very nice that they start this Hunter Classic with the 3'3" group. It allows some younger horses to get some experience.
This is the 3-6 section right now, and that again was Holly Shepard with Midas for Margaret Camp. Scores coming in here for what is our 5th in the class. We've got 27 starters, actually 26 starters. We did have a scratch, and so 26 starters. We've got an 81.75 average there for Holly and Midas. All right. Next we go to Huntosh and the Douglas Wheeler entry. Chorus. Hunt's been showing the Wheeler family's horses now for quite a few years. Again, highly successful. He's based out of the Atlanta area there in Georgia, but he joins us again aboard Chorus number 412 now.
I'm excited to watch this horse go. This is a relatively new partnership. Chorus shows in the green 3'6" division, and he was shown this winter in Ocala by Cassandra Kale. Douglas Wheeler purchased the horse towards the end of Ocala, and Hunt has only shown him a few times. But it's quite a lovely horse with a beautiful jump. I know he scored a 90 in one of his green 3'6" classes this week, and he ended up being champion in that division. I'm sure that this is the biggest venue and biggest ring that this horse has had a chance to show in.
Hunt's definitely got away with the younger horses and some of the horses that have a little less experience of coaxing them on, making them feel confident as he's done for years now, and getting the best out of a young horse so that they can continue to excel.
This is a great class for horses that may be thinking of showing in Kentucky later this summer in the Green Incentive Finals. We don't have a lot of opportunity to get into rings that are this size and have courses that are original, and this is an excellent opportunity for a horse like this.
Well, of course, is a 10-year-old bay Hanoverian gelding by Staccato. As Amanda mentioned, recently purchased in during the Ocala season by Douglas Wheeler out of Charlottesville. And, of course, while Amanda is going to be competing with us later here in the Classic, it's nice to see the sportsmanship and camaraderie between riders. They compete against each other all the time. And regardless of the fact that they're all going after the same top ribbon, they always cheer each other on, and there's definitely a lot to be said for that. This sport definitely is conducive to people wanting to support each other. They all love great horses and great horsemanship, and it's nice to watch everyone be successful. And Huntosh is finishing up again with chorus now. Score coming in at an 85 for Hunt and Chorus. 85 will be his average, which is an identical average to Daniel Geithner in Tropics. Panel 1 is the tie-breaking panel, though, so that puts Hunt just ahead. So he'll be leading the way right now. Remember, you got to be in the top 12 to qualify to come back for our second round. 6 of 26 have shown so far, as MTM Farms S&L Lion King will join us next. Dorothy Douglas coming to us out of Flower Mound, Texas, home base of MTM Farm, and also coming off of an incredible day yesterday in the Welcome State, where she piloted 4 entries, made it into the jump-off on 3 of those, and did end up with a top finish there in that welcome class. But S&L Lion King is, again, the entry of MTM Farm, a chestnut Belgian gelding, 10 years of age.
So it's fun to see a horse like Chorus go around this course, which is a relatively green horse and a new partnership, and then right after to see a very experienced horse in partnership. Dory and Lion King have been together for quite a few years now, and they show very competitively in the international derbies and in derby finals. We spent a lot of time together this winter at WEC Ocala, where every Friday we got to do international derbies in their big stadium ring.
A whole new and incredible venue there in Ocala, Florida, which for decades has, of course, been a hot spot during the winter season. I know you spent most of your winters there for the past several years. It's nice to know that we've got a high-quality facility that's just added to what's offered there in Ocala.
Yeah, it's great to have so many choices and to have multiple venues in Florida now that people can travel between in the winter.
And as you said there, a more experienced horse in S&L Lion King. We could sort of see the difference in just the way the horses carry themselves. Lion King sort of just doing the job and keeping the ears forward, staying focused, maybe not being as impressed by the jumps, but still looking good over those fences. You can see just a little bit of that excitement in the way Chorus went around, of course.
Exactly. You could definitely see that Chorus was new to this, but did a fantastic job, and you can tell that Lion King knows exactly what's going to happen every step of the way.
Looks like we're going to have another 85 coming into play. And so we will again go to the panel 1 score as the tiebreaker. I believe it's going to be Chorus first, Tropics second, and Lion King third in the ranking based on that tie-breaking procedure. Kira Jones coming up now with Cello, number 154. 154 coming up.
Kara, I believe, is an amateur and had a very successful amateur debut at the National Horse Show this past November. She most likely showed this horse in the 3'6" performance this week in order to do this class, because as I'm sure Brian explained earlier, you have to jump your respective heights from the week.
Stepping back in out of the ring from the anthem, actually, I got right to the booth here and didn't have time before we had our first one go to actually get into that. But yes, you compete in the regular divisions, and those regular divisions are what qualify you to be a part of this $25,000 Aiken Open Hunter Classic. Cello, Kara Jones with us here. They'll be showing, or most likely showing, in the Amateur Owners Come this weekend, but showing, of course, in 3-6 divisions on the professional days here to get into the Hunter Classic. Again, Kara based out of Cornelius, North Carolina, and her mount Cello is a 12-year-old that was felling and gelding by Cascari.
It's great experience for amateurs and juniors to have a class like this that they can get into and compete right alongside the professionals, which is something that doesn't happen in a lot of sports.
Coming up on the final fence here.
So far.
Yeah, for sure. Beautiful conditions from a human perspective, but potentially distracting conditions from a horse's perspective. Even just the wind itself and sort of the cooler temperatures could sometimes make a horse a little feisty or distracted, but in these situations, everyone's handled it quite well up to this point. Average score there for Kara and Cello was a 73.5 between the 74 and 73 individual panel scores there. We've seen Liza Boyd already compete to an 82 aboard a horse named Ferrari. Now she's going to come back with Sherry Crawford's Corrento. This will be number 305 and our 9th to show.
This is another very experienced horse and experienced partnership. Liza catch rides this horse for the Barkers and for the horse's owner, Sherry Crawford. And I've seen her compete him multiple times in the high performance division. I think she did the night class in Wellington, maybe not this past year, but the year before. And before that, Sarah Taylor showed this horse. He must have shown in the 3'6" performance this week, but this should be a good pair to watch.
A lot of experience between this combination in the international derbies, and indeed they have been winners in the derby this season at the Winter Equestrian Festival. Corrento, the Holsteiner gelding by Caratino, and 15 years of age.
I always really enjoy watching Liza ride. She always rides with a lot of pace, stays very consistent and forward to the jumps.
And that forward riding has certainly gotten her some success in the derbies, where the daring is definitely rewarded. We've seen that countless times.
For sure. The second round of this class, however, will just be another classic round. It will not be a handy today. So it'll really pay to be able to show off a little pace when you can and let the horses be judged on their style.
As we mentioned earlier, the classic format differing from the derby format that I was talking about there, and that the judges based their scores all in one number on what they've seen in the arena. Even if there was to be a handy portion, there's not going to be an additional score, just the score that they've awarded to encapsulate everything that they've seen there. $85.5 and an 88 will mean an 86.75, and it's a new lead right now. the best we've seen so far on Liza's second entry, Carento. And we'll have Tori Colvin come to us now with Glade Run Farm LLC's ipso facto. This is the 10th in the order. It's number 168 for scoring.
Tori, I know, has won this class before. A couple years ago, I know she won this class on private practice. So she's no stranger to marching around this ring.
Her mount ipso facto, owned by Glade Run Farm LLC. A gray gelding by Douglas. And here's another rider that's just a joy to watch because it's almost effortless and 100% natural, just built into Tori to be in such great touch with her horses.
This is a big horse, and he has a giant stride. A lot of the, well, actually, I think every other horse so far has done 10 strides across that diagonal line, and Tori did 9, which is no problem. There's not a specified number you have to do there. It's whatever is going to be the smoothest for your horse, and certainly for this horse, the 9 looked like the right choice.
Fitting it in without really having to add or shorten up your strides. Just if you just make it look like it's natural and the horse does it naturally without a problem, that's going to reflect well in your score.
If any of you have not made it to this facility here at Bruce's Field, you should really put it on your bucket list. It's a real pleasure and joy to be here.
And we're glad to have you for sure, Amanda, as Tori wraps up her round here. And Aiken in general is just an incredible place to be, especially during the spring and early summer. This is an incredible facility. We've actually got a couple of facilities in town here, but there's something for everyone, even if you're not in the equestrian world. But surrounding us here, there's polo, there's the hunter and jumper set, there's dressage, we've got eventing, and so much more. So like Amanda said, if you can come to Aiken, especially for one of our Aiken charity horse shows in the years to come, we'd encourage you to do that. Now, scores are coming in for Tori. I want to go ahead and give Amanda the thumbs up to head out. But, Amanda, thank you for joining us. I know you've got one coming up here later on in the ranks. What do you think about your horse Southern Ground coming up later?
Thank you so much for having me. I'm looking forward to showing Southern Ground around this course. He's a very young horse, 6 years old, so this will be one of the biggest classes he's done to date. So it'll be a great experience for him.
Well, it'll be a great experience for us to watch you. Thank you very much. Good luck, and we'll go ahead and send you off to get ready for that.
Thanks so much. Talk to you later.
All right. Amanda Steege again making her way out to show us how it's done later on there. We've got 16 more in the first round. We'll have a total of 12 coming back in the second round. Looks like that average, by the way, for Tori will be an 85.75, putting her into second place right now. But we've got Tim Madrix up next with Missy Nolan's entry, Playmaker, number 576. Playmaker is 7 years of age, Bay Oldenburg gelding by Pythagoras. As Amanda Steege stepped away, we had just finished watching Tori Colvin. Just before that, Liza Boyd. And, of course, Liza Boyd riding that one along with professional trainer Kitty Barker and Johnny Barker. It's nice now to have Johnny Barker join us. And he'll now be in the seat to talk to us about maybe the rounds coming up. Tim Madrick's just finishing there with Playmaker. And I know he was just getting into position here, but Johnny, from what you got to see so far, what do you think of the course? What do you think of the horses and how they're performing today on a fairly breezy and cool spring day here in Aiken?
Brian, the course looks good. Probably a little plain. Maybe could have a little more dressing up right there. The horses are going pretty well, though, I have to say. All in all, and I didn't see much of that out of the horse. So I really can't make much of a comment on that.
Well, we'll have to give you a chance to do so in the upcoming horses here. Timothy Madrick's scores are coming in here with Playmaker. Remember, we've got Scott Fitton and Scott Williamson in different locations. That gives us the advantage of letting them see it from different perspectives there. 85.5 will be the panel 2 score after an 87 score from panel 1. 86.25 will be that average for Timothy and Playmaker. So 86.25. Daniel Geithner comes up next. Daniel's going to be here with 638. This is Saint-Tropez for the owner, Laura Kramer. Johnny, you got another one coming up here later on. I know you're only going to be able to be with us for a short period of time. What did you think, first of all, about Liza's ride there on Corrento?
I thought she did a great job of riding. She jumped in a little bit easy into that 10 line, trying to fit that in there, and he had a little light rub right there. But she did an amazing job of riding that horse.
As you would expect out of Liza, she's always a go-to rider, as is Daniel, of course.
Yes, Daniel is also very good. And it looks like he's doing pretty well so far right here on Laura Kramer's horse. I think he's only had this horse, I don't know how many times he's showing, not too many times. That looked very nice to me.
You know, interestingly, obviously we're focused on the riding the horse's performance right now, but those of you who maybe are not as steeped in the horse world, don't spend so much time around it, may not realize that the horse world is not just about the riding itself. There's a lot of culture that goes outside of the show ring and outside of just taking care of the horses. Johnny, of course, is very much known for, he's got probably the most beautiful, most well taken care of, and most well outfitted semi-tractor trailer in the business, recognizable anywhere. People talk about it everywhere it shows up. It is definitely a showpiece. And Johnny also, of course, has his own trailer dealership to some extent, likes to buy and sell trailers, and a virtual expert in that. He loves to do the sort of the work on them, the mechanical stuff. So you don't have to just love the horses, although Johnny does. You can also love things outside of the horse world and still have something to do.
Thank you, Brian, for that little plug there, buddy. I think Daniel started off pretty good, but didn't end up very well. That horse is jumping in the right corners pretty badly right there. I think they're going to have to penalize that. The vertical right in front of us and going in and out right there.
And of course,
he did a good job of riding that horse.
We're looking at this, of course, from our perspective, which is even a little bit of a different vantage point from position 1 and 2 where the judges are seated. Looks like he's going to have an 80.25 result there. Saint-Tropez and, again, Daniel Geithner.
Well, Brian, I'm afraid that was all right.
That's about where you would have put it?
That's what I would have put him, my buddy Daniel, but that was a good score for him, the right score.
Accurate based on what you saw there in the show ring. Well, we'll move on now to 13th in the order. This will be a double tap, a Deborah Snyder entry, and Martin Videla ride. 6:05 is the number. And we're about halfway through the group here, 13th of 26 to show. Johnny, are you here for both weeks?
Yep, I sure am, Brian. And this is a very nice horse show, really nice venue. We really like it down here.
We love having you, too. You can travel all the way from up in Middleburg, so bit of a trip to get down. How long does it take you to get down from there?
It takes about 8 hours. We had a rough trip coming down, the fog over the mountain, the traffic in Columbia, and it rained like crazy. But, hey, we made it.
That's part of the road warrior life.
That's right.
You just got to make it. Got to get there. Deborah Snyder's double tap is, again, on course here.
Looks like he's having a nice round here, Brian.
Double tap, 8 years old. A bay Hanoverian gelding by the Victor. Deborah Snyder based in Aiken.
He's going around that second jump right there to get to the double here. I think that worked out fine for him. I think some people worried about a swap going that far out the other direction there.
You want to keep him on the turn to keep that lead correct on the approach to that combination, huh?
You got it. You don't want him swapping right there. But it worked out well for him.
Coming up on the final jump there,
Yep.
double tap. And
nice round.
Martin Videla. Currently, the score to beat in this first round is 86.75 with Liza and ipso facto at the front of the pack. You want to get in the top 12 so you have a chance to come back in the second round. We'll follow the same policy here with 2 judges awarding their own score, those scores being averaged to determine what that second round score is, and then we will combine the first and second round scores to determine the results, with the top 12 having a chance at money here today. $25,000, nothing to shake a stick at here in our 100 Classics. While, of course, derbies are quite popular, that's still a nice chunk of change coming out in the 100s here, don't you think, Johnny?
Sure is, Brian. And who'd you say was in the lead now?
We got that 86.75 there for Liza, and the Corrento, 86.75 her score. And an 86.25 for Timothy Madvick, so he's currently holding second. $77.75 was the score there for Martin Videla and double tap, 77.75. Now we're on to 14th in the order and a second ride here for Dorothy Douglas, Abigail Davenport's MTM Lola LOL.
Dory's a great rider, hard worker. And Mike's really lucky to have her. One of my favorite people.
Indeed, and she showed that yesterday when she got 3 of 4 into the jump off and took that top finish in the welcome class yesterday. So she's already done quite well for MTM Farm in the group there.
She sure has. And Mike's up and trying. He's collecting the money up there.
He was with us early in the week, but they're sort of dividing and conquering. There's a lot of show opportunities, including here in Aiken, and of course, a little further up north there in North Carolina. So might as well go ahead and see what you can do in multiple locations if you got people you can count on.
Yep, you got it.
Once again, it's MTM Lola, LOL, the Abigail Davenport entry.
Looks like she's having a nice round here, Brian.
Johnny, how much do you get a chance to judge throughout the year? I don't get to see as much doing that.
I don't judge anymore. Quit.
You quit doing it, did you?
Quit doing it.
Good question. I've obviously done my research. No, it's been a while since I've seen you judging at the shows, but it was always nice to see you there.
Well, I enjoyed it, but travel is so tough. I don't know, Brian. I might be a little prejudiced, but I think that was a good round.
I know you like Dory. You said she's a hard worker. She's a good horsewoman. She's been very successful. We'll just have to see what Scott and Scott, Team Scott, our two judges, have to say here today. Scores coming in there for MTM Lola, LOL, and Dorothy Douglas. Again, the Abigail Davenport entry. That one, a Bay Westphalian mare by Los Angeles. Score comes out with an 87.5 and an 89 from the two judging panels to an 88.25. And we have a new leader here past the halfway point of this class. So Dorothy Douglas is going to be the one to catch at this point. We've got about 6 more to go here before we're going to make the adjustment for our 4-foot horses. And we're going to move on now to Hunt Tosh and the Douglas Wheeler entry, Cannon Creek, number 410.
So that was good for Dory. She's leading. I guess maybe I should be a judge.
You should get back. You get your card back because you're obviously knowing what you're talking about here. We had you were very accurate a few rounds back there with the 80.25 for Daniel and Saint-Tropez. Now you were pretty on it with Dorothy Douglas and MTM Lola. So we'll see what you think about Hunt Tosh with Douglas Wheeler's Cannon Creek. Hunt Tosh's second ride here. Longtime partnership between Hunt and the Wheeler family. It's nice to see that continuing on. Cannon Creek, 10 years of age, a Bay Holsteiner gelding by Kankara. What are you thinking so far here, Johnny, with Hunt Tosh?
He's looking pretty good. He's high over that double right there. I thought he was a little bit light jumping into that 10-stride line right there. We'll see what the judges think about that.
Up and over through to the finish line there for Hunt Tosh and Cannon Creek. See what that score was as Johnny Barker's gotten to spend the last several rounds with us. We're glad to hear his insight as well. And I know, Johnny, you've got another one coming up here in just a bit. In fact, you'll be showing with us at the end with another Daniel Geithner ride, Mr. Manhattan. So, first of all, I think, what are we, about 11 or 12 rounds away from that. You got a whole team of folks back at the barn working on that horse and working on the operations at Eight Oaks Farm, don't you?
Oh, yeah. We got plenty of good people back there. And
including your wife, Kitty. We've got Kelly's back there, right? And, of course, Daniel's going to be teaming up with your horse very shortly to come up and ride. So it's a team effort, not just an individual that gets the job done. Scores in for Hunt Tosh and Cannon Creek. That'll be a score of 87.125, the average result for Hunt Tosh and the Cannon Creek. And, Johnny, I'm going to go ahead and send you off. I know you're getting anxious about that upcoming horse. You've been around us a long time. I think no reason to panic. You got it in hand, buddy.
All right. Thank you, Brian. It's been real. I had a real pleasure doing it. Looking forward to doing it again in the future. There.
All right. I'm going to write that down in ink, so I'll see you back here next time.
You got it there, buddy. Good. It's been real.
All right, good luck to Johnny. Here we are with David Jennings and the Allison Ventura entry. This is Jordan Tinas. It's 16th in the order, number 251. Jordan Tinas again on course here. Bay Irish Sport Horse Stallion by Air Jordan. Allison Ventura's entry out of David's home base in Nashville, Tennessee. Scores in for David Jennings and Jordan Tinas, 81.25 from Judge 1 and 82 from Judge 2. That'll be an 81.625 average. Tabby, the Holly Shepherd next ride coming in now. It's for Helen Brown out of Alpharetta, Georgia. 14-year-old chestnut Hanoverian gelding by Black Tie. Grand Bay, Alabama-based professional rider Holly Shepherd, who has excelled in the hunter ranks with a lot of style and has been just a blazing rider as well in the jumper ranks for years. She's been a winner time after time in the Grand Prix and is one of the most committed and aggressive riders that you would ever hope to see. Pretty much another one of those naturals that can pretty much handle anything and do it with a smile. Tabby and Holly spent a big part of their winter in the Gulf Coast circuit. Annalise White also showing this mount in the adult divisions, but Holly was a winner in the 100 Derbies there in the Mississippi Gulf Coast winter season. Holly's going to wrap up the round there with Helen Brown's Tybee, number 243. After this, we're going to have three more at the 3-6 height. Holly rides to a 79.875 now with Tybee. Next to go here will be walk-off. This will be another Liza Boyd ride for Gigi Menegal, number 472. By the way, we're right now at the 3.6 height, but we're actually going to drop it down to our 3.3 height after this. Walk off again, Gigi Manigault's entry out of Charleston. And it's a 7-year-old bay Holsteiner gelding. No, I apologize. This is actually Tori Colvin. Tori Colvin's actually competing here aboard Koala for John and Stephanie Ingram LLC. It's number 111. So again, Koala, Tori Colvin's right here for John and Stephanie Ingram. And this is a 13-year-old bay Swedish warmblood gelding by Carmagil. A little excited at the end of the round there. Looks like walk-off, or rather Koala is, getting a little bit of extra energy here on this cool, breezy day in Aiken. Matching 70 scores combined for a 70 average by Tori and Koala. And now we'll watch Walk Off and Liza Boyd, entry 472. Once again, Gigi Manigault's entry. Liza Boyd rides, 7-year-old bay Holsteiner gelding, again out of Charleston, South Carolina. Competed on this one in the green working division throughout the course of the winter season. Also a winner in the Green Hunter Incentive Program. Johnny was with us earlier on talking about the riders mostly choosing that inside turn on the way to the combination here to try to maintain the horse's lead. You go out there too far and get them on a straight approach to that combination, there's a possibility they'll swap out of leads. I guess that's part of the consideration some of these riders have made. We're coming around with just one jump remaining, I should say. Here is Liza and the walk-off approach. The finish line right now. 87 and change. Or it's actually 88.25 is the current score to beat, with Abigail Davenport's MTM Lola LOL and Dorothy Douglas leading the way. Scores in here for walk-off and Liza Boyd. 88.125 will be the result of the 89 and 87 individual judges' scores. The average comes out to 88.125. And that means that they are going to be in a very, very close second place. One more to go at the 3-6 height. It'll be Daniel Geithner with Seth Vellenrat's Moonshine. The 9-year-old Grace Alfrese Gelding by Untouchable, based out of Berwyn, Pennsylvania. Of course, Daniel's based right here in Aiken. Competing under Daniel during the Ocala winter season, as well as more recently here in Aiken at the Aiken Spring Classic. They were top of the list in the 3-6 green divisions, competing here in the same ranks to get into this $25,000 Hunter Classic. Jump for Daniel at the finish line there, and that was Moonshine again for Seth Vellenrat. The result of that round is a 45 for Daniel and Moonshine. We'll have now a total of 7 more to go. And they're going to be all showing at the 3-3 height. So we need to make that adjustment. Holly Shepard, Amanda Steege, who was a guest speaker with us earlier on, Maddie Tosh, Catherine Jariel, also Christy Herrera, Dory Douglas, and another Daniel Geithner ride, all good to go and competing in the second round here. We've got still, competing in the 3-3 section before we adjust for the second round. Right now, the cutoff score to come back is an 81.625, and that includes everyone in the top 12. Again, 7 left to go here. We've got Holly Shepard getting ready to join us next. In fact, here she comes through the gate with Sterling for Sylvia Reitman. One of the 7 to go at our 3'3" height. Sterling, 11 years old, a gray warm blood gelding by Lutanos Orion. Holly Shepard competes on this one in the Green Hunter divisions. And Holly, of course, showing, as I mentioned earlier, one of her other rides throughout the winter season there on the Gulf Coast, the Gulf Coast Winter Circuit. She had several wins in the high performance and the green divisions aboard this entry. Competed in those 3-3 divisions to get qualified for this Hunter Classic with Sterling. Holly wraps up with Sterling, the Sylvia Reitman entry. She's got scores coming in now. Remember, it's 2 judges, Scott Fitton, Scott Williamson, and they're at different locations around this special events arena. They each have a little bit of a different vantage point off for their assessment of the round via numerical score. And scores come in for Judge 1, Scott Fitton at 77. Panel 2, Scott Williamson offers a 77 as well. And of course, that will be the average result, 77. Well, we were lucky to have Amanda Steege with us earlier, on the microphone here during our commentary. Now she's going to be competing with the Francis Muppet entry, Southern Ground, and as she told us, Southern Ground is a fairly young horse, not that experienced, as she was using this as an opportunity to give Southern Ground what we call mileage or experience in the show arena. So here she is now, 6 years old, in fact, is the Bay Westphalian gelding by Cascadello. Francis Muppet, the owner out of Mystic, Connecticut. Competing into Green Hunter Championship and class wins throughout the course of the late fall, early winter season there in Ocala, Florida. As she mentioned, she showed there at the the World Equestrian Center venue, which debuted this past season, just a couple months ago. Highly acclaimed facility. I know she enjoyed her time there. And again, got some mileage on this horse known as Southern Ground. Pretty good effort there for a 6-year-old horse, Amanda, and Southern Ground finishing up as the second of 7 in our 3-3 section of this Hunter Classic. Thanks to the Hottensen family for sponsoring our $25,000 Hunter main event this week. This will be 4:14, a Betsy Parker entry, Matty Tosh ride. This is Gotham. Gotham is a 13-year-old gray Holsteiner gelding. Atlanta-based rider. Still competing in the junior ranks. And, of course, she does quite nicely in those junior divisions, as she did throughout the season in Ocala. She took some reserve champion and top finishes in the classes there. Also competed on this horse in the National Hunter Derbies. The owner, Betsy Parker, is out of Middleburg, Virginia. Connected to a lot of very talented horses. We're sponsoring Hunt Tosh as a professional rider and also helping out to give Maddie the ride here on, as I said, Gotham, 4:14. It's one of the 5 left to go at 3-3. In fact, one of 5 left in this first round before we'll bring back the top 12 for a second round. In a competition pretty much dominated by well-known, well-established, successful professional riders, it's nice to see a junior rider having the confidence to do so. Of course, she is the product of a great training from the likes of her own father, in fact, Hunt Tosh, who is a very successful rider in his own right. And it's nice to see a father sharing that talent and that passion with his daughter as he's doing here today. Waiting there at the gate to give her a high five on her way out after some success. And not only is she doing fairly well, she is doing the best so far with an average score coming out now. Mandy and Gotham had a 90 and an 88.5 for an 89.25 average. Again, she'll take over the lead. She's a chip off the old block there. Big chance to win a nice check in this $25,000 Hunter Classic. 89.25 will take over the lead. Four remain. We've got Ava up next. Catherine Geriel's entry, number 498. Ava, the entry of Catherine Geriel from here in Aiken. 14-year-old chestnut Holsteiner mare. They've already had trouble at an early fence there for a knockdown. That's going to certainly be reflected in the score, and will certainly nearly guarantee that they won't unfortunately be able to be a part of the return run. But in any event, it is Catherine Juriel continuing to make her way around here, competing to ribbons in the international derbies this season in Ocala, riding out of the amateur ranks. Perhaps just not enough pace coming up on that final jump there for Catherine Jeriel and Ava. They will make it over that fence, but the early knockdown is going to be reflected in the scores. Both judges awarding a 44, and that will be the average, and of course 44 for Catherine and Ava. 3 left to go. The first of those will be a Christy Herrera ride. This one for Caroline Ellis is Clarina, 6:45. Another prior winner of the International 100 Derby Championships, Christy Herrera. Today she's here with a 10-year-old gray Holsteiner mare by Clarimo. Once again, this is Clarina. And just a couple jumps left here for Clarina with Christy Herrera again for Caroline Ellis. That's going to be an 81.75 result there for Caroline Ellis's Clarina and Christy Herrera. Tie-breaking score here is the panel 1 score. Christy's going to end up just out of the top 12 here in 13th place based on that tie-breaking procedure. The lower Judge 1 score there with an 82. That'll bring us down to the first of 2 left to go. Dorothy Douglas and MTM Farms MTM Dashing, number 625. Dorothy's had a pretty good day here so far. In fact, a pretty good week, I should say. She had the top position taken away not too long ago. She had MTM Lola LOL at the front of the pack. But Maddie Tosh, a junior exhibitor with Gotham, posted an 89.25 to put her in the lead. Now Dorothy's in second with the 88.25 aboard Lola. She's also got one of the 85 scores aboard S&L Lion King. So effectively, 2 qualifiers for Dory right now, and possibly a third one, which would be an echo of yesterday's welcome qualifying for the jump-off round. The second round in our Hunter Classics is effectively, I guess you could call it a jump-off to some extent, although the combined result of both the first and second round scores is what will determine the top 12 results. 12 placings for money here today. Thanks again to the Hottensen family for sponsoring our $25,000 main event. And again, it's nice that we're able to have some folks come out here in a wide open setting to be able to watch this Hunter Classic on a beautiful Friday late afternoon, early evening. And we'll see if she gets a third ticket to come back. There again, MTM Dashing, Dorothy Douglas ride. Sounds like an 85.5. Will Ned Dury yet another qualified position for the jump-off return? All 3 of her horses making it into return action. Nice job here this week by Dorothy Douglas. And we've got one more opportunity coming up. It'll be that of Mr. Manhattan. Daniel Geithner riding an entry owned by Martin Schleppe out of Greensboro, North Carolina. Mr. Manhattan again, Martin Schleppe's entry, 7 years old, a chestnut German sport horse gelding by Maximus. Shade this winner in the Ocala series with the Cassandra Kale to some top placings, top 1, 2, and 3 ribbons there in Ocala. In the Green 3-3 divisions. Jimmy Toronto also competing in the Green Hunters this season to ribbons there at the Winter Equestrian Festival. And now Daniel Geithner taking over the ride here with Mr. Manhattan. Crowd seemed to like it. The judges' scores are coming in now. We'll see whether or not Daniel's going to make it in there with Mr. Manhattan. He does have at least one other contender coming back. Early entry Tropics had an 85 to get in. And it looks like the last one will be a part of the return round. Nicely done by Daniel Gaitner with Mr. Manhattan. He scores an 88.375 average. That's going to creep up a little bit on the leader, not overtaking Matty Tosh's position, but going into second place by a fraction of a point. And so Daniel will have one of the top 12, in fact, two of the top 12 qualifiers for return action here. Those with an 85 or better will, in fact, be qualified to come back in the second round. Now, if this was a classic that had just one height, we would run the classic second round in reverse order of scores. And we're still going to do that, but within the height section. So since we're set at 3-3, we will have our one and only 3-3 qualifier come back first, even though she's the highest ranked entry. Since we're set at that height, that's the way we run these multi-height classes. Matty Tosh will, in fact, be returning here with her 89.25 score first aboard Gotham. And then we'll work our way from low to high scores in the 3'6" group. And finally, those who qualified out of the 3'9" section. In fact, I think they're all going to be from the 3'6" group after that, because that cutoff just raised to 85, which means we only have 3'3" and 3'6" qualifiers to come back in round two. You have a chance to stretch your legs a bit and grab a beverage or a quick snack and then come on back 10 minutes or so, maybe even just 5 minutes away from the return trip here in our $25,000 Aiken Open Hunter Classic. Again, brought to us by the Hottensen family. About to set the stage here for our second round of action. Top 12 will be joining us here. Again, $25,000 at stake. And those with an 85 or better are qualified to return. We'll be working our way first through the 3-3 group. In fact, I should say the 3-3 entry. Just one of those to go. So the three entries, I should say, will be joining us here. The 3-3 height. We'll have the remaining 9 as a part of the 3-6 height. But right now, here they come as the top of the order. The second round course begins over the living jump vertical. That's the log uprights with the natural colored rails. Number 2 is what was our final fence in the first round, that natural colored oxer. Then they will make a left-hand turn coming back over the birch combination. 3 and 4. 5 is the natural rail going toward the in-gate, and 6 is up the outside line over the brush pile with wishing well wings. Number 7 goes down the diagonal line over the bourbon barrel wings. 8, the bourbon barrel oxer, and then they'll come back around to finish up over fence number 9. That's the wagon wheel oxer going away from our judges' side of the arena. And again, our first one is in now, number 625. Coming up here with their first round score of an 85.5. That was Dory's average there with the MTM farm entry, MTM Dashing out of Flower Mound, Texas. And 10-stride diagonal line, that related distance, and then they'll circle back around to see one more jump over the wishing well oxer to wrap things up. Dory again coming in with an 85.5 out of the 3-foot-3 group. Which will bring that round to a close. We'll use the same scoring guidelines in the second round. 2 judges, each awarding a numerical score. And their average score will be the result of the second round. And then we'll combine with 2 scores from the first and second round to determine the overall results. .83 and 85, the individual judges' scores for an 84 average. Combine that with the 85.5 from the first round. That's a 169.5 result. So again, it's a total of the 2-round scores that'll give us the results here today. Next up, we got number 307, Daniel Geithner, who shows Mr. Manhattan. And he does so bringing back his score from the first round of 88.375. He was the second highest entry from that first round. Another crowd-pleasing effort there from Daniel Geithner. He showed to an 88.375 in the first round. Second round scores coming in appear to be somewhat similar here for Daniel and Mr. Manhattan, the Martin Schleppe entry. Scores of 88 and 89 come in from the two judges here for an 88.5 average in the second round. And that means a 176.875 two-round total for Daniel Geithner and Mr. Manhattan. Our feature event on Friday here at the Aiken Charity Horse Show is in full swing here. Our third of three in the 3-3 section. In fact, the highest scoring entry who came to us out of the junior ranks. We have Maddie Tosh now in, and she'll join us with her 89.25 effort from that first round. That was aboard Gotham for Betsy Parker out of Middleburg. Let's see if she can maintain that top position, fighting pressure from all of those top-level professionals to do so. She's really battling against some of the most accomplished in this sport to be a part of this second round, but especially to do so as the leader. So she can handle that kind of pressure. That is definitely an indication of exactly how talented and what a great future a rider like this has. staying consistent, maintaining a nice flow around the entire course here. She's got great position, and she's heading up to the final fence now. Maddie, again, leading the way in the first round with the 89.25 effort. And now she's wrapped up in the second round. Scores in here, 85 and 87 from the individual judges. That means an 86 average in the second round, and a 175.25 will be her result. Dropping down just one spot into second place with Daniel Geithner and Mr. Manhattan now taking over the lead. And we have wrapped up the 3-3 group. It's time for us to adjust back for our 3-6 section. 9 entries to go in 3-6. We only had a couple that competed at the 3-9 height. They had scores of 82 and 77, and so they will be below the 85 cutoff. That means the remainder of this field will, in fact, be from the 3-6 group. Right now, 176.875 is the score to beat. Adjustment has been made. We've got 9 to go here in our 3-6 section. While we're preparing to see that section, we want to tell you about what's happening throughout the course of the weekend here. Of course, this is our special events West Ring. Only the pinnacle competitions take place in this venue, including this, our $25,000 Aiken Open Hunter Classic. We also have taking place here tomorrow our $50,000 Premier Grand Prix. That's scheduled to go at 4:30. A slew of classics in the hunter and jumper divisions also happening throughout the course of the weekend. And then we will recommence with competition on Wednesday of next week with another Hunter Derby, as well as another Grand Prix taking place as feature events. So we hope you're planning to stay with us on the live streaming coverage brought to us by Equestrian Digital Media. Again, live from the Aiken Charity Horse Show here 2021. SNL Lion King 588 here, the Dorothy Douglas ride for MTM Farm out of Flower Mound, Texas. Heard from Amanda Steege earlier that this is one of our more accomplished horses as far as their mileage, their amount of experience. Dory and Lion King have been competing together for a while now. They come back with an 85 score from round 1. That, in fact, was the cutoff score to qualify for round 2 action. Dory wrapping up there with SNL Lion King. That's, again, one of her multiple entries. She's qualified 3 to come back in the second round of this $25,000 Classic. Starting off with her 85 from the first round. She'll combine that with an 86 from the round 2 action. So that's a 171-point score, and she'll go into third place. That was her lowest scoring entry in the first round. She'll have a couple more to show here in the second round, so still good chances for Dory to earn a nice big check today. She'll be at 5:13 coming up next, and that'll be Tropics and Daniel Geithner for West Meadow Farm LLC out of Santa Barbara, California. 85 was also the first round score for Daniel in this mount. Another one down here for Daniel Geithner, who already leads the way with the Mr. Manhattan, the earlier Martin Schleppe entry. And he does that with a 176.875. We'll see what happens here with the Tropics and Daniel for West Meadow Farm. Score comes out to an 86.5 and an 88 for an 87.25 average in the second round. 172.25 will be the two-round total for Daniel and Tropics. And now it's number 412 in. 412 is a Hunt Tosh Ride chorus for Douglas Wheeler out of Charlottesville, Virginia. 10-year-old Hanoverian mount by Staccato chorus, and Hunt earned themselves also an 85 from their first round action. They were, at that point, the highest ranked of the 85s using the Judge 1 tie-breaking procedure. Final fence coming up here for Hunt Tosh, once again with Chorus. Chorus had that 85 in the first round as well. Again, entry owned by Douglas Wheeler. Recent acquisition for the Wheelers and Hunt Tosh. Second round score, panel 1 gives a 91, panel 2 gives a 90. That means a 90 and 1/2 or 90.5 result. And Hunt makes up a lot of ground there with Chorus, earning a 175.5 when you include the 85 from the first trip. Next we go to 305. And this will be Corrento with Liza Boyd for Sherry Crawford. She's coming up to show next. She earned herself an 86.75 in the first round. Corrento, the most senior member of the return field here at 15 years of age. Liza doing, as always, a great job of making the tour around the course here for second round action. 86.75 is what she came in with. Scores of 87.25 and 87.5, so the judges very close together despite their difference in location here. That'll be an 87.375 average in round two. And Corrento and Liza earn themselves a 174.125 result. 168. This will be the seventh to go in the second round. 168. This will be ipso facto with Tori Colvin riding. She comes in with an 85.75 from the first round. Ipso facto out of Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, owned by Glade Run Farm. An 8-year-old mount by Douglas. Tori Colvin, of course, based out of South Florida there in Wellington, Waxahachie area. Tori and ipso facto with an 85.75 coming in from round one. Scores coming in there at 87 and 88.5 for an 87.75 result in the second round, and a 173.5 result over the two rounds of competition here in the Classic. Timothy Madrick's coming up next. He'll be here with entry number 576, Playmaker. He's out of Mountain Brook, Alabama, riding for Missy Nolan from Leeds, Alabama, with a 7-year-old Oldenburg mount by Pythagoras. And his first round score with this entry was an 86.25. Timothy Madrick's wrapping up, scoring his 86.25 in the first round. The target today is 176.875. Daniel Geithner and Mr. Manhattan have maintained the lead since we were in the midst of the 3-3 section. They weren't able to catch up so far, but it would stand to reason that as we make our way through the remaining 3-6 entries, we're getting into the higher scored qualifiers from round one. So they have, of course, a leg up to maybe better that 176 and change result. I'll have to say Daniel was consistent there. 88 and change was the first round average, 88 and change the second round average. So he's done quite well throughout the course of the day. Score there is going to come out to an 82.25. That's a 168.5 two-round total for Tim Madrick and Playmaker. Next to go now, 410. 410 will be Hunt Tosh's number aboard the Douglas Wheeler entry, Cannon Creek. Another 10-year-old Holsteiner mount by Kankara, number 410. And he comes in the ring here with a score of 87.125 from round one. The Tosh family doing fairly well here today. Chorus had a score of 175.5, which holds second right now. We also had Maddie Tosh aboard Gotham with a 175.25, so that one's in third. Of course, Daniel Geithner's leading right now with his 176.875, but Hunt Tosh with another opportunity again aboard Cannon Creek. He came in with an 87.125. Judges' scores are coming in here for the second round now. The second round scores of 87.75 and 89.5. That means an 88.625 average in the second round and a total 175.75. So Hunt goes up into second place with that one. Third place again with Chorus, and Matty Tosh is fourth place with Gothams. They're definitely standing to pick up some nice checks here today with just two remaining. Still have a 176.875 leading the way, and the next one to compete here, another Liza Boyd ride coming in next. Again, just two remaining. So Liza's here with 4.72. This is walk-off for Gigi Menegal. First round score for this one was an 88.125. Well, if you're able to hear through the ambient microphones here, we've got the signature telltale sign of a good round from the Tal family. Jack Tal, of course, has developed something that is synonymous with success, as we've heard at many of the biggest competitions. And that yelp just coming through as Liza wrapped up her effort there aboard walk-off. We've already had one of the judges' scores come in. We'll let you know what the other was here in just a moment. All right, with a 92 and 89.75 and 90.875 will be the result there. And it looks like the lead will change hands with a 179 result. 179 gives Liza the top position with only one more to go. So Daniel's top spot has been supplanted there. Liza doing even better by 2.2 total points. We'll have one more to go here to wrap things up. And, of course, it's going to be Dorothy Douglas in similar fashion to how she competed yesterday in our welcome class. She ended up with 3 qualifiers coming back here in our Hunter Classic. This one, 587, will be MTM Lola, LOL, the Abigail Davenport entry out of Devon, Pennsylvania. Dory scored an 88.25 in the first round to get here. And we'll see whether she's got what it takes to beat that 179 total just set by Liza Boyd. Very exacting scores coming in here. We just had an 88.25 from Judge 2 and 89 from Judge 1. 88.625 is the average in the second round, and 176.875 is the 2-round total. We do have Judge 2 being the tie-breaking panel for overall results here, and that's going to give Dory the overall edge for second place in those results, but it's going to leave Liza in the top spot. Liza Boyd earning herself yet another win in her long list of top finishes here in walk-offs, top placing with our $25,000 Aiken Opener Hunter Classic. And again, it is brought to us by our sponsors, the Hottensen family. Scott Evans is going to represent when we get into these results, along with Jennifer Glass, one of our awards coordinators here. And we will also have our ringmaster who sounded the call, the going away call there as we went into our second round of competition. And so he will also be on hand, Mr. Chad Wilkes, who is a huntsman for the Aiken Hounds, hunting in the historic Hitchcock Woods, one of the many treasures found here in Aiken, South Carolina. Presentations are coming up. We will present to our top 6, though 12 will receive prize money here today. So it's a reverse order pinning coming up to wrap things in our $25,000 Hunter Classic main event. We'll go ahead and turn you over to Jason Porter, our arena commentator here, as we finish things up. But don't forget, tomorrow we have our $50,000 Grand Prix. Also happening here in our special events West Ring over the course of the weekend, our classics in the Hunter and Jumper rings as well. We've got a second week of competition coming up with Hunter Derby, Grand Prix action, and even more classics up next week. And we'll be giving you that coverage, compliments of equestrian digital media, and that'll all be coming up in the days throughout the course of the weekend and all through next week. But for now, Jason Porter is going to take it away with the presentation of our top 12 awards, of the top 6 appearing live and in person here in our special events arena.